Hello, welcome. In today's project, we are going to be using yarn from Hobbii. This is a perfect blend of cotton and acrylic. It is called Twister Solid. On the back of the yarn, you can see it gives you all the information that you need about what kind of sizing it gives you and what size a hook. This yarn is so easy to use. It has an easy start little pull tab right in the middle of the ball. You just pull it up and away you go. I will be doubling the yarn for this project. The other thing that's so nice is you can take the beginning of the yarn and the end and use two together. For this project, I used 3.5 balls of yarn. I will put all the details in the description. I just want to quickly let you know how easy it is to order yarn from Hobbii. So if you go on Hobbii.com, you can see they've got a great website here. You can pick out all their yarns, see their sales. So if you're looking for the Twister yarn, you can just put it here in the search bar, click on the Twister Solid, pick out your colors so that you'd like, and it's that easy to order. The nice thing about this is if you look down on their website, they'll give you a description, reviews of the yarn, free patterns to follow, and a photo gallery. The nice thing is too, you can always get a discount when you order in bulk. Be sure to check the website often as they do have a lot of sales. The other nice thing to check out is their Hobbii Plus. So you can join Hobbii and always get free patterns, points, and discounts on all their regular priced items. My pillow covering turned out so beautiful using this yarn. Our finished size is 17 inches by 17 inches, or 43 by 43 centimeters. We want to make this smaller than our 20-inch pillow insert so it makes it nice and firm. I will show you how to crochet this in sections, starting with 1, 2, 3, section 4, and then section 5. And then we're going to repeat to finish the other part of the pillow. Section 1. So I'm going to be using double the yarn. This is a light fingering weight yarn, so that's why I'm doubling it up. So let's chain about 17 inches or 43 centimeters. I will be using my 4mm crochet hook. I did 72 chains, and this will give me 70 stitches across. Your number may be different. It's more about the size rather than the amount of stitches. Let's start in the third chain from the hook. We will do a half double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. That's your half double crochet. The next stitch is a slip stitch. Insert your hook, pull up the yarn, and pull through your loop. So we're just going to repeat this. So let's do a half double crochet, and then a slip stitch. And let's repeat this for the whole row. I will meet you at the end. So here we have our last 2 stitches. So the half double crochet and then the slip stitch. We will then chain 2 to start our next row. So chain 2 and turn. For row 2, we will put a half double crochet in the slip stitch from the round below. So right in there. So it's going to be opposite of what we did for the first row. So in that first one, half double crochet, And then our next stitch, we're going to put the slip stitch, and it's in the half double crochet from the round below. Continue the half double crochet, slip stitch, repeat for the entire row. Here you can see how our textured pattern is coming along, making sure that each stitch is on the opposite one from the round below. Here I have reached the end, and I'm going to put my half double crochet, and then I will just put the slip stitch into that chain 2 space. And then I will chain 2 and turn. So we're just going to repeat row 2. Make sure you put your stitches in opposite. So half double crochet is in the slip stitch, and then the slip stitch is in the half double crochet. Repeat this until you have about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters. I did 6 rows. For section 2, we're going to add on another 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters. At the end of section 1, you can change color. So you can bring in your new color here. And then just chain 1 and turn. Cut your first yarn color. We will start this next section with a row of single crochet. So inserting your hook, pulling up the yarn, yarning over, and pulling through 2. Continue with your single crochet for the entire row. So my stitch count is 70 stitches. When you have reached the end, we will do a chain 1 and turn. I am going to repeat the single crochet for 3 rows. This side here will be our front. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And our next row will be the bobble stitch row. A bobble stitch always shows up on the other side. So this is our back side here, and that will be our front side. So we're going to start this row with 3 single crochet. We will then do our bobble stitch in the next stitch. So all of our stitches will go into the next one. Let's start with the yarn over, insert our hook, and pull up a loop. Pull it up a little bit higher. We will yarn over and just pull through 2 and stop. That was 1 time. Let's do it again. Yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. And again, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and again, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, and 1 more. Yarn over, insert, pull up the loop, yarn over just through 2. You will now have 6 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We can then yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. And that is your bobble. We will then single crochet into the next space. So the first thing we're going to do, so in that space there, let's just push our bobble to the back, which is really the front. So pushing it, and let's do a single crochet. So there's the single crochet. And now you can see that we've just created the bobble. So let's do 3 single crochet and a bobble. So we've already done 1. Here's 2 and 3. Let's do another bobble. So for each one, you're going to go into that stitch 5 times. Yarn over, insert 1 time, pull through 2, yarn over twice, yarn over, insert 3 times, again 4 times, and 5 times. You then have 6 loops on your hook, yarn over and close. Push the bobble and do 3 single crochet. And 3. Let's continue this pattern for the entire row. Let's pull up 1 loop, and 2, then 3, now 4, and 5, yarn over, pull through all 6, push the bobble to the back, and 3 single crochet. I have now reached the end, and I just have 2 stitches left. Don't worry about that. You can always adjust your rows of your pattern at the beginning and at the end, because you won't see it depending on what your number is. So I've stopped here with 2. I'm going to chain 1, and now we're going to do a row of single crochet. I'm going to start in the very first stitch here. So as long as your numbers are always the same for every row, it will work out because we do want to make a square. So I'm going to do 3 rows of single crochet. or until you have your length of 1.5 inches. Just make sure you get that single crochet, 1 in each stitch. So you can see the 3 that are kind of behind there, the 1, 2, and 3 from the round below, and then the 1 that's going into the bobble. Continue to the end and also continue for 3 rows. Your measurement should now be about 3 inches or 8 centimeters. If it's a little too long, don't worry, we can adjust that on the next color. Let's cut our yarn and pull through. We can start our next color over here at the beginning. After section 3, your measurement will be 5 inches. We can now bring in our third color. Let's chain 1 and do a single crochet in the same stitch. We will then do a double crochet in the next stitch. We're then going to repeat this. So let's do a single crochet and then a double crochet. Then a single and then a double. Continue this pattern all the way to the end of the row. Here we have reached the end, and my last stitch is a double crochet. So I know on the next row, I'm going to start with a single crochet. So I'm just going to do a chain 1 and turn. And now I will put the single crochet into the double crochet from the round below. And then I'll put a double crochet in the single crochet. So I'm going to start with the single crochet. And then a double. So you're always going into the opposite stitch. This is what makes the nice texture for this pattern. I love this texture so much that this is what I used for the back of the pillow. Continue this until you have your measurement of the 5 inches or 13 centimeters. We can then cut our yarn and start our next section. At the end of section 4, it will look like this. So let's start again with the right side of the pillow facing you. We will start our first row with single crochet. Bring in your other color of yarn. We will then do the first row with single crochet. 1 in each stitch, single crochet all the way across. When you have reached the end, let's do a chain 1 and turn. Our next pattern will be a single crochet in the first stitch, and then we will chain 1, And now we're going to skip one stitch and single crochet in the next. Chain one, skip one, repeat. Single crochet, chain one, skip one, repeat. Continue that all the way across. I have now reached the end and I have one stitch remaining, so I'm just going to put a single crochet in that stitch. So there will be 2 single crochet at this end and only 1 at the other, but it won't matter. Let's do a chain 2 and turn. We're now going to start the puff stitch. Here you can see our chain 1 space of where we're going to put our puff stitch. So we're just going to put a half double crochet in that stitch just before the chain 1 space. So our chain 2 will count as a stitch and then the half double crochet. So let's do the puff stitch. We're going to start by inserting our hook into the chain space. Pull up a loop and bring it up a little bit higher. We're then going to yarn over, go back into the space, pull up a loop, pull it up high. Again, yarn over, into the space, pull up a loop. One more time, yarn over, into the space, pull up the loop, and now we're going to yarn over and pull through all loops, and then do a chain 1 to close the puff stitch. So this is kind of a mini puff stitch because we're only going to go into that stitch 4 times. Let's do another one. Insert, pull up 1, yarn over, pull up 2, yarn over, pull up 3, yarn over, pull up 4, yarn over, pull through all loops, close the stitch, and go to the next space. Always start by inserting your hook first. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Close the stitch. Continue with your puff stitch for the entire row. When you have reached the end, we will finish with a half double crochet. We can then chain 1 and turn, and we will get our next row ready for another puff stitch row. Let's start with a single crochet in the first stitch. We're then going to do the chain 1 and skip 1. We're going to do a single crochet on just this little section here on the stitch. So if you open it up, you can see like the little V part. That's where we will put our single crochet. So then chain 1 and going across that puff stitch to insert our single crochet. This gives the chain space above the puff stitch from the round below so they line up. So continue along with the single crochet, chain 1, and into that space right there. And here we have our last single crochet, and we still have 1 stitch remaining, so we're going to put a single crochet in that chain 2 space from the round below. So just right in here. And then we can turn our work. So let's do a chain 2 and turn, and we will work the puff stitch again. So turning our work, and this is going to be the good side or the front side of your project. So we're going to now do our second row of puff stitch, and we're going to put them into each chain one space. Again, I will just start with that half double crochet, which brings me over to the chain one space where we will start the puff. You can now see how the puff stitches line up with the puff from 2 rows below. I did 3 rows of puff. On the last one, I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then I'll just do 1 single crochet row on top of that last puff stitch row. So starting in the first one, 1 single crochet. And this is where you want to make sure that your stitches still equal your same amount of stitches as what you started with. Mine will be 70 single crochet. At the end of section 4, you should now have about 7 inches or 18 centimeters. You can cut this yarn, pull it through, and we'll turn our work to start our next color. So for section 5, we are going to do the bobble stitch. At the middle of the bobble, it should be about 8.5 inches. This measurement is important because it's the halfway of your pillow pattern, and we want to keep it at a 17-inch square. Let's start this next section with 3 rows of single crochet. Your third row will finish on the right side of the pillow. And then we will do the bobble stitch from the back side, which pushes it forward. So chain 1 and turn. This first bobble stitch row will be the same as the one we've done previously. So let's start with 3 single crochet, the bobble stitch, and repeat. Continue to the end of the row and I'll meet you there. For our next row, we will chain 1 turn and we're going to do 1 row of single crochet. When you've reached the end, we will do a chain 1 and turn. Our next row will be offset from the bobble stitch from 2 rows below. We will start with 5 single crochet, then do the bobble stitch, and then 3 single crochet and repeat just the bobble stitch 3 single crochet. After the 5 single crochet, you can see that the next stitch is the middle stitch from the bobbles from below. So let's just have a look at it here. So if we turn our work around, we can see the 3 stitches in between our bobble from 2 rows below. And you're going to make sure that that is where we place our stitch. So we're going to want it in the middle of the 2. So if your number's a little bit different to start, just make sure that you're in between the bobbles from below. So let's just have a look. And yes, we've got it right in the center of the 2. Let's continue with this row. And we'll just have one more look to make sure that it is coming out correctly. And there you can see that our bobbles are in the middle. So we will continue all the way to the end, stopping with the bobble just before the 1 from the rounds below. This is our halfway point. It should measure 8.5 inches or 21.5 centimeters. When I got to the end, I just had 4 single crochet at the end, but that's okay. We will do a chain 1 turn and we're going to do a row of single crochet all the way across. And then we will do 1 more bobble stitch row, just like the first one, starting with 3 single crochet. So just like the first row here, and then that way it'll be offset for the 3rd row. After 3 bobble rows, I did 3 rows of single crochet to finish this section. At the end of this section, you should now have 10 inches or 25 centimeters. To continue the other half of the pillow, this being center here, we will now repeat. And we're going to repeat by doing section 4, which is here, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. I will give you the measurements after every section. After section 6, it's 12 inches. Section 7, 14 inches. Section 8, 15.5 inches. And then our finished size, 17 by 17 or 43 centimeters by 43 centimeters. Look how beautiful it turned out. You can now weave in your ends. You can tie a knot in the ends or just weave them back and forth, whichever way you prefer. For the other side of the pillow, I did the pattern of single crochet, double crochet, and repeat, just like in section 3. I just love the way this texture felt. When you have finished, do not cut your yarn. We will use this to crochet the two pieces together. I didn't have a set pattern. I just knew I wanted to start with gray and end with gray, and the middle sections I just used up the rest of my balls of yarn. Let's place your two squares together now, and we will stitch them together. So we want the good side to the outside. So just lining it up, we're going to stitch along the outside. I had 70 stitches going across for my pattern. So going down the side, I would also like to have 70 stitches. So I'm going to put these together with stitch markers just to hold them together so I can do a proper count. I'll first put a marker in the center. And then making sure everything is lined up correctly, I will put a few more markers. Starting in the corner, we're going to pull our yarn into our other square. So let's just pull it up. We'll do a chain 1 and we will start with a single crochet. I will now evenly space single crochet along the side. So typically you do 1 at the end of each row, but I do want to make sure that I have 70 single crochet. So I will count as I go along and make a checkpoint at the halfway. So but going into the end of each row, this is number 2, I will kind of stop at the halfway to make sure I have 35 stitches. Here I am at the halfway point with my 35 stitches, and now I will continue with 35 more single crochet until I get to the corner. In each corner, I will do 3 single crochet. So there are my 3 single crochet, and that will count as my first stitch. So along this, it's pretty easy to put 1 in each stitch to get my 70. Again, at the next corner, I will have 3 single crochet. Working along the side, I will evenly space my 70 stitches. We've now done our 4th side. We're going to stop about 1/3 of the way in. Let's just put a stitch marker into our stitch so it doesn't unravel. We can now put our 20 by 20 inch insert into our pillow cover. To close the pillow, let's put some stitch markers in to hold it together. This makes it easier as it's lining up the stitches as well as you continue closing the pillow. Once you have reached all the way to the end with your 3 stitches in the corner, we will just do a slip stitch to join. From here we will chain 1, and we're now going to do a reverse single crochet to do our final decorative stitch. It almost looks like a piping around the edge of the pillow. So we will insert our hook behind the stitch, pull up the loop, and then yarn over and pull through both. So again, the single crochet reverse, we're going behind into the stitch, pulling up the loop, and it's just getting tricky getting around this corner section for me. Let me try this one again. So insert, pull up your loop, yarn over and pull through, going behind, up, and pull through. It does get easier when you start doing a few more. Right now I just have the bulky pillow kind of in front of me, so I'll just get it straightened around. And now continue with the reverse single crochet. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I sure hope you've enjoyed it and maybe learned a new stitch or two. See you again next time and keep on crocheting. Bye!